Hello everyone, this is the work of Group 2, and it is about the Republic Act 9275, or as known as Clean Water Act, an act providing for a comprehensive water quality management and for other purposes. What is Clean Water Act? This act shall be known as the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. It aims to protect the country's water bodies from pollution from land-based sources such as industries and commercial establishments, agriculture, and community household activities. It provides for a comprehensive and integrated strategy to prevent and minimize pollution through a multi-sectoral and participatory approach involving all the stakeholders. Here is the coverage of the Act. This Act shall apply to water quality management in all water bodies, provided that it should primarily apply to the abatement and control of pollution from land-based sources, provided further that the water quality standards and regulations and the civil liability and penal provisions under this Act shall be enforced irrespective of sources of pollution.
Now let's proceed to the things you should know about the Clean Water Act. Why the need for the Clean Water Act? A recent World Bank report pointed out that Metro Manila was second to the lowest in sewer connections among major cities in Asia and less than 7% compared to 20% for Kathmandu, Nepal and 30% for Dhaka, Bangladesh. 31% of all illnesses in the country are attributed to polluted waters. Clearly, to ensure access to clean water for all Filipinos, it was imperative that government put together a comprehensive strategy to protect water quality. Now, how will water quality be managed? Watershed, river basin, or water resources region-based management will be used to manage water quality. The DENR, in collaboration with the National Water Resources Board, is to define water quality management regions with comparable hydrological, hydrogeological, climatic, or geographic variables that affect the reaction and dispersion of pollutants in water bodies. Who will manage these areas? Local areas will be managed. To handle water quality issues within their control, multi-sectoral governing boards will be created. So how will discharges of wastewater be controlled? To dump wastewater, all owners or operators of facilities must obtain a permission from the DENR. Existing industries that do not currently have a permit have a year from the effective date of the implementing rules and regulations issued in accordance with this Act to obtain one. Related issues. And some of the related issues are the following. The climate change and the industrial waste. Climate change could result to having contaminated water. Thus, it affects the quality of the water that we need to survive. Because of contaminated water, we might get diseases such as cholera, hepatitis, typhoid, polio, and etc. And in industrial waste, companies inappropriately managing their waste from their industrial processes results in the release of significant amount of toxins into rivers and the ocean.
The prohibited acts under Republic Act 9275. Discharging or depositing any water pollutant to the water body or such which will impede natural flow in the water body. Discharging, injecting, or allowing to enter into the soil anything that would pollute groundwater. Operating facilities that discharge regulated water pollutants without the valid required permits. Disposal of potential infectious medical waste into the sea by vessels. Unauthorized transport or dumping into waters of sewage, sludge, or solid waste. Transport, dumping, or discharge of prohibited chemicals, substances, or pollutants listed under toxic chemicals, hazardous, and nuclear. Waste Control Act, or Republic Act No. 6969. Discharging regulated water pollutants without the valid required discharge permit pursuant to this Act. Non-compliance of the LGU with the Water Quality Framework and Management Area Action Plan. Refusal to allow entry inspection and monitoring as well as access to reports and records by the DENR in accordance with this Act. refusal or failure to submit reports, or designated pollution control officers whenever required by the DENR in accordance with this Act. Directly using booster pumps in the distribution system or tampering with the water supply in such a way to alter or impair the water quality.
What are the fines and penalties imposed on polluters? The following are among the fines and penalties for violators of this Act and its IRR. Anyone who engages in forbidden conduct such as disposing of untreated sewage into any water body will be penalized for each day of violation up to a maximum of 200,000 pesos on the suggestion of the Pollution Adjudication Board. A sentence of 2 years to 4 years in prison is the minimum and maximum penalty for willful failure to conduct cleanup activities. A fine of 50,000 pesos or more, but not 100,000 pesos, is also included for each day the infraction occurs. Failure to clean up after a spill that causes serious injury, a fatality, or causes the water in surface, ground, coastal, or marine bodies of water to become permanently contaminated is punishable by imprisonment for a term of not less than 6 years and 1 day and not more than 12 years, as well as a fine of 500,000 pesos per day for each day the spill or omission persists. Who should implement the Clean Water Act? The primary government agency in charge of carrying out and enforcing this act is the DENR, with assistance from other governmental agencies, local governing bodies, non-governmental organizations, and the private sector. To this end, the DENR will review, establish, and enforce affluent standards, review and enforce water quality guidelines, classify groundwater resources, and prepare a national groundwater vulnerability map, classify or reclassify water bodies, establish internationally recognized procedures for sampling and analysis, prepare an integrated water quality management framework, and then prepare 10-year management plans for each water management area. What is the importance of Clean Water Act? Whether water is utilized for drinking, domestic use, food production, or recreational activities, it is crucial for the public's health to have access to safe, readily available water. Improved water supply, sanitation, and water resource management can significantly lower poverty while also boosting a country's economic growth. The interaction and dynamics between the human population and the ecosystem.
The ecosystem is impacted by the human population in numerous ways. For instance, is the use of natural resources. Natural resources are consumed more frequently as the human population grows, which leads to resource exploitation and an increase in population.
Activities and efforts. Activities such as cleanup drive, imposing rules, inspections, and monitoring the industrial and commercial facilities are done to solve the issues regarding the Clean Water Act. Management of the discharge of water pollutants are controlled and had been a successful way of reducing the pollution. One of the best approach to maintaining cleanliness is through cleanup drives done by the people in a community. The cleanup of the coastal area is one example. Examples are the Manila Bay restoration, cleanup of Pasig River, and the Boracay rehabilitation.
Here is a summary of our report. Clean Water Act is an act that controls the pollution concerning our water. It is a law that establishes guidelines for protecting the physical, chemical, and biological purity of our water. Although enacting this law may not necessarily fix all the world's problems, it will significantly reduce pollution. Water quality in any places has to be managed by the governing boards with the DENR. The discharge of water must also be controlled. Some related issues are climate change and industrial waste. It has many prohibited acts under RA 9275, and all who are opposing the act will have penalties. The Clean Water Act's relevance is in ensuring that all Filipinos have access to clean water, hence the creation of a comprehensive water quality protection. This ends our reports, and we hope that you have learned something. Thank you very much.